So something kind of funny just happened. I was just messing around with the tanks, topping up the water, doing a little bit of maintenance, and I heard a knock at the door. Turns out I got a plant delivery today that I totally forgot about. So I was sick last week, and I think I ordered these plants in a little bit of a feverish haze, just getting some new stuff for upcoming projects. So let's open it up together and see what I got. So recently, if I'm not buying locally, I've been getting my plants from Aquarium Co-op. So far, I've had pretty good success with them. So let's open the box and see what we've got. I do like that they send this kind of heating pack with the plants and also this insulated kind of bag for the plants. I think that helps a lot in the shipping process. They also send these cool little stickers. It looks like a coolie loach. So I've got a little list of everything that I ordered. But let's just get in here, see what it all looks like. So I got quite a bit of stuff actually. So I've never had one of these before. This is like an in vitro lab grown plants, one of these 1-2 grow pots. This is Eliocharis. So this is sort of like a front carpeting plant. And I've never used one of these pots. That's kind of why I wanted to get it, I think, just to learn a little bit more. So get in here and see what this looks like. Let's see. I got a couple pots of the same thing. Yeah, okay. So I've got 2 micro swords here. Let's take a look at these guys. Okay. Yeah, looks pretty good. Second micro sword. Not much rock wool on that one. I think I got these micro sword because they're doing pretty well in my bonsai pond so far. So I wanted to try them out in some different aquariums. These 2 plants I have not had before. So this one is Rotala H. Raw. It doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look like it has traveled super well. So I'm going to want to get that in an aquarium ASAP. And then here we have, this is Pogostemon Stella Octopus. Huh. Looks like it did travel pretty well. So we'll see how that does. So I don't have time to plant these today, unfortunately. So I'm just going to plop them in some tanks just to sit for a little bit. I'm going to come back tomorrow and I'm going to plant them. I'm not really sure what tanks they're going to go in yet. These are kind of for future projects, but I kind of want to get them growing and get them converted before I put them into anything new. Now that I've got this Rotala under a proper light here, it looks so pink. That's kind of crazy, actually. I think I might put that one in this tank here in Quarry Mountain because I want more kind of red and pink in here. But I'm going to let them sit. This one's floating. I have no idea why. The others are fine. But I'll let them sit for the night. I'm kind of running out of time today. So I'll let them sit, and then I'm going to come back tomorrow and plant them. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. All right, so it's the next day. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the plants so far. They've done pretty well overnight. They've all started to kind of stand up on their own, and this one in the back has even started to actually sink a little bit. It was floating yesterday. So I'm going to get these out of the tank, give the fish a little bit of a feed. You can take a closer look at them, and then plant them into the tanks. So prepping plants like this is pretty easy. Basically, all you have to do is take them out of their little pot here and break off all of the rock wool that you can. Ooh, this is nice. It actually comes wrapped with a little bit of plastic, so it makes it super easy to get out of the rock wool. And I'm just going to take off this little bit of plastic, and then we end up with a nice bunch of stems that we can plant super easily. And I'm just going to double check to make sure there's not any gunk or rock wool on the bottom of these, but they look pretty good. So I'll just set that one aside, and I'm just going to do the same thing with the rest of these. These plants are already covered in snails just from sitting in the tank for a little bit. There's a nice bit of micro sword. This is actually going way better than it normally does. I have this fork here to use in case we need to scrape any rock wool off, but so far so good. No scraping needed. Another bit of micro sword. And then this is our Pagostemon Stella Octopus, I believe is the name. So let's see what this one looks like. Yeah, nice and clean for the most part. Not quite as much in this pot as I would have hoped, but it is what it is. We'll just use our fork to just get a little bit of rock wool off. Cool. So that's our main plants. And now I'm going to prep this cup of the Want to Grow Eleocharis pusilla. So for these Want to Grow cups, from what I understand, they sit in like a bit of sort of nutrient jelly. So I'm just going to plop this in water. Just give it a little rinse. Yeah, I think I'm just going to sit it there for a little bit while I get the tanks ready for planting. So I think the first tank that I'm going to do is going to be the bonsai pond here. Unfortunately, the crypts that I planted in here have kind of died off. So I want to add some fresh plants. I think I'm going to go with the Pagostemon Stella Octopus in here, and also the little pot of Eleocharis, because I think we need like a focal stem kind of maybe in this area to kind of bring a little bit more interest there. And then I think it's a really cool idea to have like a smaller like grass carpet in here that mimics like the micro sword in the back. So I'm going to drain the water like pretty low in here just to make it way easier to do the planting. So first thing, turn off the filter. Now take the water out. All right, so first I'm going to go in with this Pagostemon Stella Octopus. And I'm thinking I'm either going to put it in this back corner here or in here. And I think I'm going to go here, because that's just going to give us a spot with better light for the plants. So I'll try it out there. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to really get in there for a good planting spot, because I have quite a lot of rocks that are right in there. But I'm going to give it a try. All right, that's not too bad. I'll give it a try there. I can always move it if I have to, but I think I got it actually rooted pretty well. I think I kind of need like this piece here, because there's this sort of cut off piece of wood, and I think that this plane is going to do a really good job of obscuring that. So next I'm going to go in with this Eleocharis. I've broken it up into a bunch of these tiny little tufts, and I'm just going to take these and just start planting them kind of all around this foreground area, and maybe also a little bit over here in this area. So yeah, I'm just going to jump into it. Okay, so I just filled back up the tank and I think it is looking awesome. I think that the Eleocharis here does a really good job of mimicking the micro sword in the back. And that's exactly what I was going for. So I feel like it looks a lot more deep now, like there's a lot more going on, matching the foreground to the background there. It is a little bit hazy at the moment just because I just, basically stirred the whole thing up. But that'll fade in time. I haven't turned back on the filter yet. And the Pygostom octopus, I feel like is doing exactly what I want it to do. But it's really filling up that area right at this kind of nub of the bonsai here. And it's just disguising from that a little bit and sort of making it look a little bit more like less cut off, basically. But yeah, super happy with this. Let's move on to the next tank. So my plan with this tank is I want to put the Rotala atra in the back to kind of get some more like red tones going on in here. I've got like these little pops of red from the Ludwigia, and I really want to like mimic that and create a brighter contrast. So I'm thinking I'm going to put the Rotala in like a couple bunches in the background and try to find some areas that aren't like totally shaded so it'll actually get some good growth. And then the micro sword I want to put kind of more in the foregrounds because the Vallisneria spiralis and the Sagittaria, dwarf sag in here, it's kind of huge at this point. So I want a smaller plant to kind of make the tank look deeper, if that makes sense. Create more of a perspective based on the plants. Kind of like I just did in the bonsai pond with the Eleocharis to micro sword. This time it's micro sword to dwarf sag to Vallisneria spiralis. So that's the plan. So first, I'm going in with this Rotala atra. So I can see an area kind of in the back where this is going to get some decent light. So I'm just going to get it in my tweezers here. None of it floated up. I think that's going to be a decent place for it. It's getting some good light here. Adds a nice pop of red. Call that a success. This one might be a little bit hard for you to see, and it's kind of a hard to reach area for me. So I'm going to do my best. I think I see a spot that I'm going for, but fingers crossed, let's get it in the tank. Just kind of wiggle my tweezers around while I push down. So it feels like it is stuck. And then I just wiggle my tweezers back and forth as I'm pulling up to kind of make sure that the sand and the aqua soil doesn't all get pulled up as I come out here. And it looks like that works pretty well. Didn't expect that, but just going to leave that alone. Looks like it's getting decent light. And here's a bit of a better angle. So you can see there's some light kind of reflecting off the top there. That is a good sign. That means that it is going to be getting the light that it needs. So another success. I feel like that actually went much more smoothly than I anticipated. So now for the micro sword, I've got a whole bunch of it. I'm going to make it into a bunch of different clumps, put it all over the foreground. And I find it helpful when you've got plants that have a bunch of stems like this, to kind of roll them around a little bit in your fingers before you put them in the tweezers. And then they will stay a little bit more bunched up as you go into the tank. So overall, I think it turned out pretty well. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I think it's going to be really cool to see how it grows in. I think that's really going to be how I'm going to tell if I like it. It looks just like a little bit sparse and weird to me at the moment, but I think once it starts like carpeting and really grows in, kind of like the micro sword over here is doing. And yeah, we'll have to just play it by ear. But I think if the effect that I'm going for happens, it's going to look really good. And the same thing for the Rotala. I'm kind of nervous about it, to be honest. I don't really have great luck with stem plants that are red, but we'll see. We'll see how it works. I think this tank, has a really good balance going on at the moment. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. So it's 4 days later now since I planted the plants. I've kind of been filming this video in segments because I started it on Friday, about 2 hours before I was about to head into work. And I basically live in a restaurant for the weekend. So now it's finally Tuesday. It's my weekend again, and I get to check in on the plants. Over the weekend when I'm at work, I don't really get to see the tanks with the lights on, so I've been a little bit in the dark, if you will, about how they're doing so far. So today, on inspecting them, it seems as if the micro sword in the front here that I put into Quarry Mountain has been struggling a little bit. It's kind of melted back fairly significantly in places, and I'm hoping that that'll be fine. Um, it's kind of strange because it's doing so well in the bonsai ponds, but the water parameters are quite a bit different in these two tanks. Quarry Mountain here has a slightly higher pH and a lot more bicarbonates in the water column because of all of the crushed coral in the substrate. So that could have something to do with it, but it's early days yet. We'll see how it fares in the coming weeks. The Rotala, the bunch over here, I noticed first thing when the tank's lights came on this morning that all of it had kind of uprooted, and that could be because of the corridoras. But there is one little bit of new growth on that one, so fingers crossed. Hopefully that is good. I can see the old leaves melting back, which is natural, but if it melts away completely, that's not going to bode well for the life of the plants. The other piece of Rotala that's kind of hidden away in the back here seems to have stayed rooted. There's a little bit of new growth on that one as well, so that makes me pretty hopeful. And they're both in pretty good places where they get a decent amount of light, so I'm going to kind of watch and see for those. But overall, I'm moderately happy with the plants. It's again hard to tell this early because these aren't high tech tanks or anything. There's not, a massive injection of CO2 or anything like that that's going to kind of guarantee their success. So it's a bit of a wait and see kind of space at the moment. As for the bonsai pond here, the Pagostemon Stella octopus in the back seems to be doing totally fine. It's got access to a whole lot of light coming down here, so I'm pretty hopeful that it's going to be totally fine. I haven't really seen any melts. It looks like there could be a little bit of new growth on it, so fingers crossed for that one. And the Eleocharis seems much the same. For the most part, it has stayed down, so that's good. I did notice this morning that a bunch of snails were kind of eating the remnants of this one here, so perhaps it got uprooted, or maybe that one isn't getting quite enough light. Looks like there's actually some remnants of it floating here. I'm going to take a little time and kind of clean out the top of the tank here. But none of the Eleocharis that I've planted in the foreground here has really melted back, it seems. So that bodes really well. Honestly, I think it looks awesome. This is actually the plant that I'm probably the happiest with coming back after my work week, is it seems pretty much intact, and I absolutely love the effect that it's creating in this aquarium. So yeah, hopefully it will just totally carpet this front area. I think that would be amazing because I am planning to put in some livestock into this tank pretty soon. I think within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to add some shrimp because it's been close to a month, I believe, since I set this up, and the water parameters are starting to uh, be pretty stable at this point. And the bonsai itself is growing like crazy, and I think it's in the spot where the bonsai is really just going to maintain the cycle and not soak up any or soak up all of the excess nutrients, that kind of thing. Um, but that's for another video. Overall, plants, good. All right, guys, so that is the video for today. I hope you enjoyed unboxing the plants with me and planting them into the tanks. I'll keep you updated on how they're doing and obviously update you on the tanks in general as we keep going. Make sure that you like and subscribe to follow along with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.